Come to the door, man. It's Mike.
There are over 700,000 registered sex offenders in the United States, all listed publicly on the Sex Offender Registry and closely monitored by authorities.
So what code for?
Why is it important that you regularly check on people who are on the Sex Offender Registry?
I think they all pose a certain risk.
This wide net catches a range of offenders, from serial rapists to high school sweethearts. And 35-year-old Travis is on it.
I'm tracked 24 hours, 7 days a week. It weighs on you, builds up day after day.
In our second season of Our America, we asked the controversial question, does everyone on the Sex Offender Registry deserve to be there? We found one case that stood out.
I used to play back what happened in my head and how everything went down, especially when I was in prison. I had so much time to think about it.
Our investigation on the episode Labeled for Life took many twists and turns as we questioned whether the punishment fit the crime. Now, a year and a half later, we've returned at a pivotal point in the case.
My lawyer and the DA have all gone over a plea agreement deal that if it were to go through, I would be off parole and off the registry.
For many, release from the registry is a pipe dream. Does Travis stand a chance at freedom?
I've waited 18 years now. This is going to happen.
America. It can be inspiring and beautiful. It can also be dark and ugly. It's so many things, but it's ours. It's our America.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm happy myself. I'm excited. I'm getting ready, so.
In 24 hours, Travis will have a shot at being released from the Texas Sex Offender Registry.
So me and my lawyer will go everything in front of the DA, and then we'll go see the judge at 1:30, so.
It's another twist in his complex story, 18 years in the making.
It's on, that's what I'm talking about.
Travis was 17 years old when he was arrested and charged with touching a 10-year-old girl's breast. He was sentenced to 20 years for the crime. I first traveled to Round Rock, Texas over a year ago, just a few weeks after Travis's release from prison. I visited his mother, Diane, at his childhood home.
Travis's room is basically the way it's always been. The desk, the bed, the dresser.
So you were preparing this room for his return?
Yes, oh, always, always. It was always his room.
Though he was out of prison, Travis wasn't able to come home. He had been paroled to a halfway house in nearby Austin, Texas.
These are a lot of family and friends pictures.
Is that him?
Yes, that's him. That was his 10th grade picture. He had a lot of mental health issues. He was a handful. From an early age, Travis exhibited obsessive compulsiveness type behaviors where he had to line things up.
So he was actually diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder?
Oh, yes. And then eventually conduct disorder, personality disorder, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, and Tourette's syndrome.
Despite his mental health issues, Diane told me that Travis had never been violent or sexually aggressive.
My son had never been convicted of a crime. He'd had a mental health issue, yet none of that was taken into consideration.
On August 31st, 1995, Travis was hanging out with a group of kids at a neighbor's house. It started out as an ordinary evening of watching TV and horsing around. But the next day, police officers knocked on Diane's door.
What did the police officers say he did?
They say that he touched a young girl, age of 10, on top of her blouse for sexual gratification, that she sat in his lap. Travis says a girl did sit in his lap and he pushed her away.
When this is all happening, Diane, did you think, oh my God, he could have done this?
It could have. But shortly thereafter, two girls that were there, two sisters, came and said, we were there and we didn't see this happen, I realized that, I have to believe my son.
A month later, Travis was arrested and charged with indecency with a child. At 17, the Texas state considered him an adult, and he spent the next 6 months in jail awaiting a trial. When his court-appointed lawyer offered a way out, Travis jumped at the chance, taking a plea bargain against his mother's advice.
I told his lawyer, why should he plead guilty if he's innocent? He keeps telling you he's innocent.
Travis was released on 5 years probation. The rules were strict, a nightly curfew, and no contact with minors. Within a month, Travis broke these rules by hanging out with neighborhood kids. His fate was now in the hands of the state. The prosecutor painted Travis as a pedophile likely to reoffend. He was sentenced to the maximum punishment, 20 years in prison.
I was floored. I couldn't believe that my son was going to be going to prison. It wasn't for 2, 3, 5 years. It was 20 years. I mean, he wasn't even 20 years old. And he was going to be taken away. I got to visit him for just a moment.
What did he say in that moment?
Mama, I'm scared. Mama, I'm so scared. Mama, I'm sorry.
Travis served 16 years behind bars. He was finally released over a year ago.
That's my baby. I love you, Travis.
I love you, Mom.
I love you so much, and I'm so glad you're home. Well, almost home anyway.
Hey, Travis. Tell me what today is.
Today is December 22nd, 2011, and I'm free.
But freedom came at a cost. He was put on the sex offender registry for life. People can petition to be removed, but it rarely ever happens. When Travis took the plea, the investigation stopped. 16 years later, many questions still remained.
So we've been allowed access to Travis's court documents. So far, Travis, I'm seeing, was charged with indecency with a child. Here are documents discussing Travis's mental disabilities, attention deficit problems, Tourette syndrome. It just seems like such a telling statement from the police officer who said, quote, "This is a kid headed for a pattern of violent criminal behavior. This kid is going to offend and we're going to have blood as a result." So it's kind of interesting that they seem to be predicting his future for him and reacting based on things that they think could happen but have not happened.
I'd been presented 2 very different portraits of Travis. Was he a troubled but harmless teen struggling to cope with mental illness, or a violent predator that posed a serious threat to society? And what was he like now, after nearly 2 decades behind bars? Upon his release, Travis was confined to a halfway house where we weren't allowed to film. We had to catch up with him on the street during a parole-approved trip.
I think I see Travis at that bus stop.
It wasn't an ideal place to meet, but it was the only opportunity we had at the time.
Well, how are you? Pretty good. So Travis, we rushed over here because we've been trying to get a chance to talk to you, and your movements are so limited.
I know it, and I've always checked my monitor and everything to make sure it's not going red on me.
So you have a monitor that you're wearing on your ankle.
It's the hallmark of a paroled sex offender, a GPS monitor that authorities use to keep Travis under constant surveillance.
What's it like to live life with the label of sex offender?
It's not good at all because people look at me different. And they behave towards me different, like I'm just gonna attack them or attack the kids or anything like that. I'm still told what to do. I can't live where I want to. It's irritating, it's frustrating, and I don't like it, and I want to change it.
How have you been getting through day to day?
Just living life. I try to think the positive. I can't change nothing in the past, so the only thing I can do is do it for today, so I try my best to enjoy life.
And you're still maintaining your total innocence.
Yes, ma'am, I am, because I am innocent.
Our meeting was cut short when Travis's bus arrived. The bigger questions would have to wait. When I left Texas, Travis was still on parole. Over a year has passed, and in that time, he's moved into a new halfway house. But obeying the rules of probation hasn't been easy. When we return, we'll meet Travis a year and a half later.
It's like a dog on a leash, you know? He sees the fence, he just can't get to it. It's hard not to tug on the leash.
Living on the outside has many restraints for paroled sex offenders. Most aren't allowed to live within 500 feet of any place where children congregate. And for Travis, he can't visit his childhood home because of a school bus stop nearby.
This is the backyard. It's the area I'm allowed to go to. This area here is the smoke area. It's hard for me not to be able to go home to see my mom and my grandparents, especially with them being so close. Over here, it's the barbecue area. I live my life within the boundaries that are set for me so far. I work out all the time. It helps me with my mind, keeps me calm.
Travis tries to keep a positive attitude towards the little freedom he does have.
All right, this is my room. I share with a roommate. This is a lot better than where I was in prison. I can eat when I want or go outside in the backyard when I want, and I don't have to worry about a TC guard telling me it's count time or chow time. This here's my entertainment system.
While it may seem cramped and simple, it's a huge step up from his 6x10 prison cell.
This is where I sleep. This mattress is a lot better than what TDC had. And then, of course, you didn't have pillows, so now I have a pillow. Although I do have a lot of freedom, and I'm thankful for that, I'm still kind of restrictive.
Enforcing these restrictions is the GPS monitor still clamped on his ankle, a constant reminder of what he can and can't do.
It tracks my whereabouts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. At any given time, they can look on the computer and find out where I'm at. This here is the charger. I gotta charge this charger 2 hours a day, every day. That's a parole rule, and if I don't do that, I'm in violation. I'm still on parole, being told what to do and what not to do, where I can go, where I can't go, when to go and when not to go.
Travis must get written approval from his parole officer to leave the property. Requests are typically placed well in advance, and if he breaks these rules, there can be dire consequences.
This here is the gate. The end's the backyard. This is the can't pass go. And if I were to actually go past this, I surely would not be collecting $200, that's for sure. At this point, were I to pass this, my monitor would actually give an alert to my parole officer. The cops could come tomorrow and pick me up and give me a blue warrant, take me to jail, and I'd be right back where I was. So we don't want that. I keep well enough away from here. I'm not gonna get no more violations, that's for sure. It's hard to manage everything at a certain point because it weighs on you, builds up day after day.
Following parole rules hasn't been easy. Travis has already broken them multiple times. One violation came after celebrating his first birthday at a prison, eating cake with his family in the parking lot of the halfway house, just a few steps beyond the safe zone.
I did 4.5 months in ISF, which is an intermediate state facility. It's like prison, but it's got a little more privileges.
Another violation occurred when Travis refused to admit guilt to his crime during a mandatory sex offender therapy group.
They want you to say that you're guilty because to them, if you're guilty, then you can work on your problems. And I refuse to say I'm guilty because I'm innocent. And they came and locked me up, and I had a parole hearing, and they violated me and gave me ISF.
Why does Travis have such a hard time following the rules? Are parole restrictions unreasonably strict? Or do his mental health issues impact his judgment?
I'm stuffing with turkey here.
Travis had psychological problems, emotional problems, neurological problems. You know, Tourette's syndrome is almost like the kiss of death because people behave so peculiar that others around them just pull back.
During my initial investigation, I visited with Jose Cardenas, a therapist who worked with Travis when he was a teenager.
When you found out that Travis had been arrested for inappropriate activity with a minor, what did you think?
Frankly, I was kind of surprised by that because, you know, that kind of behavior was not something that had ever shown up before.
Is he a pedophile?
I never had thought about him being a pedophile at all.
There was nothing in his behavior that led you to believe that he might exhibit those kinds of tendencies.
Right, that's correct.
No, don't do that, Travis. No.
He tended to act more like a 9 or 10-year-old instead of 15 or 16.
You get the bat. I gotta get the baseball all the way over across the street.
But I have no recollection of him ever being sexually inappropriate or anything of that sort. That was such a sad thing to happen, both, you know, to Travis personally, but also with his mother, who had worked so hard since this child was born, you know, to try to help him get what he needed.
Happy birthday to you.
I had met Travis and heard Diane's side of the story, a mother who believed in her son.
Usually it's inside the case.
But what about the victim? Up next, revelations from the startling phone call I had with the father of the young girl who accused Travis 18 years ago. Halfway through my initial investigation, I reached out to the family of the victim. I hoped her father could shed some light on the case.
Hi, this is Lisa Ling from the Oprah Winfrey Network. I was wondering if I could just speak to you for a couple of minutes. Do you remember what happened that day? I know it was a long time ago, which is why your daughter and you all are sort of the key to this. He did. He spent 16 years in prison. Okay. And sir, have you spoken with her about this? So a couple of years ago, your daughter asked you whether she should come forward. The father said he thought that something may have been pretty grossly exaggerated and that his daughter was contemplating going to authorities to divulge what happened or what didn't happen. He said that she could be very worried that she would go to jail if she came out and said that she exaggerated something when she was a kid. So there's still a lot of questions to be answered.
To get a better understanding of what might have happened that night, I decided to look deeper into the court records. In the files, I found a chilling accusation.
She stated Travis told her to come sit on his lap and was told by Travis to pull her top down, exposing her chest. When asked why she had pulled her top down, she stated she was afraid.
It's a serious accusation and very troubling. But this case is not black and white. A few pages later, I found 2 affidavits prepared by the defense for a trial that never happened. Statements from the 2 sisters that Diane had told me about.
This is an affidavit from one of the witnesses. She was 13 years old. We all walked together in a group. The victim did not indicate any anger or frustration. She did not cry and was not tearful. And here is another affidavit of one of the witnesses who was 16 years old. I was present in the home with all the children, including Travis. I did not see any communication or touching between Travis and the victim. I do not believe that she is telling the truth. Yeah, see, I mean, I feel like we have to talk to the other children who were there. Jamie, Donna.
These were witnesses that I hoped could shed more light on what Travis did or didn't do. But after nearly 17 years, I didn't know where to find them. Diane told me about her friend Jan, an advocate for the rights of juveniles stuck on the sex offender registry. Jan had been helping Diane find witnesses and gather more information about the case. in hopes of someday proving Travis's innocence.
If you are able to reach some of these witnesses, what do you want to know from them?
Did anything happen? Did they see anything? Is there any reason in their mind to think Travis had ever acted out like that?
When we spoke, Jan hadn't yet reached out to one of the witnesses, Jamie, who lived in the house where the incident occurred.
I think it's the next one to the right.
We hoped she could provide more clarity.
Beware of dog. I just saw someone in the back.
Hey, is your mom home? Yeah. Can we talk to her? Hey, Jamie, I'm Jan. And this is Lisa.
Hi. Might you remember an incident with the boy named Travis who was accused of inappropriately touching a little girl?
Not that I can remember.
Were you ever questioned by the police about an incident in the neighborhood?
No.
You never, ever were?
No.
The incident report states that it happened at your house.
Are you serious?
Uh-huh.
If it happened at my house, that is freaking, like, I probably would have remembered it if it would have happened.
Jamie was only 12 years old at the time. We thought her mother might have a clear memory of that day.
Did police officers ever come to your house and ask you about a 16-year or 17-year-old boy inappropriately touching a child in your house?
No, I don't recall that at all.
According to the report, they said they talked to the parents and the adults and all of the children.
Parents, the adults and the children?
No, they didn't, because I would have remembered that. No.
Like, that is...
Travis was accused of a very serious offense. Yet, according to Jamie's mother, the police never visited the scene of the crime.
You would think that the owner of the house would at least be questioned by the police.
Yes, you would think they would go in and have talked to her, and they would have talked to all the kids that were there.
When we come back, I have a phone call with the district attorney who put Travis away, and another key witness comes forward with her own startling account of that night. I'd spoken to Jamie, in whose childhood home Travis's offense allegedly occurred. Our next interview was with Donna, who was also there that night.
He never made any kind of unacceptable or inappropriate gestures towards anybody. So it's not like he was a threat to any of us.
We gave her the affidavit she wrote 16 years ago.
While I was there, I did not see any communication or touching between Travis and the girl. I do not believe that the child is telling the truth. We felt it was the right thing to do by going forward and saying, hey, it didn't happen. He was with us the whole time. We're witnesses. You know, this isn't right. They're accusing him of something he didn't do.
Do you know actually what happened to Travis there afterwards? What kind of punishment do you think he may have received at all?
I believe he probably went to jail for it.
He actually got a 20-year sentence for it. And
That's crazy.
Spent, 16.
Wow.
Why did the state decide to prosecute Travis? Was it based solely on the victim's accusation? Perhaps the answer lay with the district attorney, who prosecuted the case and recommended the maximum sentence of 20 years. He declined our request for an on-camera interview, but we reached out by phone to see if he would answer some questions.
Yes, I'm calling to speak to Mr. Bradley, please. I had a couple questions to ask of you. I know you talked to my producer last week about Travis Iosu. He says that
I asked the district attorney about the evidence they had against Travis.
It just seems strange to me that the police officers wouldn't speak to the adults who lived in that house.
But he declined to discuss the details of the case. However, he did bring up an important point.
So I just got off the phone with the district attorney, who said the fact is that he pleaded guilty to this, and we were offering them the opportunity to go before a jury, and he refused it. I mean, he did plead guilty, so what do you do?
At the end of our shoot, there was only one more person to speak with who could help us understand why Travis had spent 16 years behind bars: the victim. She told me that she didn't want to participate in the production and relive that day. And echoing the district attorney, she stated that Travis pleaded guilty. It was a fact. He had pleaded guilty. But today he contends that he is innocent. What made him say otherwise when he was 17? Over 90% of felony cases in the United States are resolved through a plea bargain. I needed to understand the circumstances behind Travis's decision.
We were hanging out, and one of the girls were babysitting some kids. They were in the back room. And we watched some TV and we smoked cigarettes. And then the girls came in, and one sat on my lap.
Did you touch her at all?
No, just to push her off. And who wants a little girl on their lap? Later on, we were all just walking around, and the others were taking the kids back, and one of them started yelling top of her lungs. She just said, I hate you, get away from me, and she just started running down the street.
You didn't touch her breasts?
No, ma'am. No, I did not.
Well, this is the investigation the officer conducted. Officer Babin interviewed the victim. She stated Travis told her to unbutton her top, and she did as was instructed. She said someone had opened the back door and she rebuttoned her top, running home when she changed her clothes.
Well, that's just BS. I was never in a room by myself, and there was no time for any of this. If someone opened the back door, someone there would have said that they saw something. It don't make sense.
But you pleaded guilty to the offense.
Yes.
Why did you do that?
So I can get out of jail. My attorney said, well, you had to plead so you can get out to go home.
After spending 6 months in jail awaiting a trial, all 17-year-old Travis heard was that he would get to go home. He told me that he didn't understand the consequences of breaking his probation, that hanging out with neighborhood kids would put him away for 16 years. While Travis's time behind bars was now over, he lived with a new set of shackles. He was now on the sex offender registry, closely monitored by authorities who want to limit his contact with children. So life's simple pleasures like walking in a park, swimming in a pool,
You got it?
Yeah.
or eating in a restaurant are out of the question. When he and Diane go to lunch, they must sit in the car.
So I was looking at a book with its apartment listings, and I was just going over to see how cheap it was, and like free Wi-Fi. Some have free water and free cable and stuff like that. So I was circling them type.
Okay. I'm not trying to dissuade you from doing that. I want ultimately for you to be able to live out on your own.
All right.
But first, you'll need to go ahead and get a job lined up, because anywhere you go, they're going to want to have something showing how you're going to be able to pay.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll be able to find some type of job.
I know.
And it can be quite expensive as a move-in.
Oh, no, it's gonna be a while. I just wanted to look around, because, you know, you don't always want to live with someone. Sooner or later.
No, that's the other thing. The likelihood of you being able to get an apartment complex to allow you with the offense that's on your record, it's very slim.
But are there some places in Austin that have it like that?
None that I know of.
All right.
I'm sorry, Travis.
All right. Well, I'm gonna throw this away, and then we'll be ready to go to Half Price Bookstore.
Okay. He's just starting to hit the challenges in this new journey of his life. I hope somehow he'll be allowed to live his life in an honest fashion, in a positive fashion. Maybe a family, a job, maybe I would even have grandkids. I want so much for him. He's my only son.
Do you feel free?
Actually, I do. I do have restrictions, I do have restraints, and sometimes it's like chains around my knees and it hurts every time I walk. But I can't complain because it's better than prison. But I can complain because I shouldn't be here in the first place.
As of now, Travis is a registered sex offender for life. But in a surprising turn of events, that may be about to change. When we come back, we'll follow a new development in Travis's case, one that could see him taken off parole and removed from the registry. Since our original hour labeled for life aired, a new district attorney for Williamson County was elected. She combed through the office's old cases, and Travis's file stood out.
She saw numerous problems with it, and she said, this is not right. We need to change this and figure out how we're going to take care of this, right this wrong.
While the DA felt that a 20-year sentence was unjust, his crimes still warranted some kind of punishment. Working with Travis's lawyer, it was agreed that a writ of habeas corpus would be filed, dropping his original guilty plea. Travis would then be given a less severe charge and a less severe punishment, with only a 10-year registry requirement.
My original crime was indecency with a child. This new charge would be indecency by exposure, which carries a far significant less charge. This, in fact, would actually take me off of everything while still having a 2-year sentence on my record. But to me, at this point, it's a lot better than where I'm at.
Travis's sentence on paper would be reduced from 20 years to 2 years, his time considered served, and released from both parole and the sex offender registry. All that's left is for a judge to sign off on the order, and it's looking like it might finally happen today.
Once the writ is signed, I can be a free man. I can enjoy stuff that life has to offer me, you know, that I was so quickly took away from me. I can make myself better, you know what I'm saying? From Clark Kent to Superman, you know what I'm saying?
Travis's freedom is a possibility that Diane dreamed of, but never thought would come true.
I don't believe that this is really happening because a lot of times it sounded like something good was going to happen, but then nothing ever came of it. The fear that I have constantly felt for so many years is going to be so lessened. I am going to be able to almost, in a way, start living again, too, as a free person, because all in all these years, I haven't felt free because he wasn't.
I would love to see my room and see my old house. I would like to go to a restaurant. It's been so long. I would like to go watch a movie, go swimming, or whatever I feel like I might change my mind at a certain time. But see, that's the beauty of being free, is that you can change your mind and go with that.
It's an unparalleled freedom that Travis hasn't experienced in his adult life. He'll meet with his lawyer, Scott, before heading to court on what could be his last day as a registered sex offender.
There's the man of the hour.
Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Doing good.
All right.
Go ahead, have a seat.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, sweetie. What's a handshake? I want a hug.
I'm excited. I can't wait till I have my moment in court.
As you know, we're going in there for the hearing on this. We've been working with the DA's office. You know, they've been great about wanting to see that the right thing is done in this case, and I wouldn't be surprised if everything proceeds today. The first thing that's going to be heard is going to be that writ that was filed and that would have you removed from the registry today, and so it would only be a 10-year registration period, and you've already been on the registry for 16.
Yes, sir.
In order for the plan to work, Travis would still have to plead guilty to a less severe charge, something that worries Diane.
That's what kind of started everything, was him taking a plea. By taking this plea, Travis will never be able to be exonerated based on his innocence. Is that correct?
No, this would still be pleading guilty, but this is probably more in line with what the offense report alleges to have happened.
Okay.
You know, we're not trying to say that the behavior back then was perfect or not criminal, but we're trying to get to the point where Travis is being punished only for what he should be punished for.
I'm always fearful that something's going to fall through, but in talking to you today, I feel comforted that something really positive is going to happen.
Well, we're going to try our best.
Thank you, and I appreciate everything you've done for me, Scott.
Diane's fears are understandable because having your name removed from the sex offender registry so rarely happens. But if they do succeed, this could be a watershed moment for a mother and son whose lives were forever altered on that day in 1995.
You nervous?
Very.
Oh, I am so happy myself. I can't believe.
Just a couple more turns and we'll be at the Justice Center.
Will the courts take a chance on Travis?
Okay, this is the moment that we've been
Yes,
waiting
it is.
for.
Let's go.
On the day of the hearing, our cameras aren't allowed in the courtroom, where Travis is hoping to find some kind of justice. He's filed a writ that, if the judge approves, could free him from parole and the sex offender registry. The district attorney gave her testimony on Travis's behalf. Finally, after several hours, Diane and her son exit the building. But there's something clearly wrong. There's no hugging, no high fives, no celebrating.
The proceedings sounded like something very, very positive, and the defense rested, the DA rested, and the judge told her, well, this is a very complicated case, and I just don't feel that I can sign off on it. So, saying that, the writ is denied. Court adjourned. I am flabbergasted that the writ was denied. I really had thought there was a chance we'd be going to dinner tonight.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
A visiting judge unfamiliar with the case heard the arguments for Travis's release. He stated that he was not comfortable being asked to second-guess the ruling of the original judge, and that he couldn't determine whether the original sentence of 20 years was excessive punishment. Finally, he stated that should he rule in Travis's favor, every plea that happened 20 years ago could be set aside on the same grounds. So he denied the writ.
Home sweet home.
Yep, home sweet home for now.
Despite this setback, both Travis and his lawyer are still seeking justice. Travis told me that the DA gave him some encouragement.
I was upset a little bit, but he's still fighting. The DA told me herself when she shook my hand, she said, we're still getting this done. I'm still getting this took care of. We are going to get you this deal, just a little bit longer. So she's still fighting for me, so that's all good news.
Travis's attorney will have 30 days to file a motion for reconsideration. While Travis remains optimistic, Diane's not taking the verdict well. A night that was supposed to conclude with a celebration ends like it has for the past 17 years. Diane eating alone without her son.
It makes me feel that I hit another one of those walls that I've been coming up against so often all these years. And just the day before, he had shared with me these things that he had wanted to do as soon as he got out. You know, he wanted to come over here, spend the night. He wanted to go have dinner with his grandparents. He just wanted to be free from everything that has held him back.
Unfortunately, Travis's story doesn't end here. Several weeks after his writ was denied, he was arrested on another parole violation and is now in jail. But that's not all. Travis is now facing a new charge.
So Travis has found himself locked up again, but he's allowed video calls, so we're just waiting to connect with him while he's in jail. Hi, Travis. How are you?
Hey, Lisa. I'm doing pretty good. Trying to keep upbeat here.
Can you explain why you're back in jail?
I had a parole violation for having a camera on my phone and internet access.
So you were permitted
Paroled
to have
sex offenders aren't allowed to have cell phones with cameras or internet access.
Yes, I was arrested once they found out that I had it.
You got another violation recently. Is that correct?
Well, on September 1st, I was falsely accused of indecent exposure.
Travis tells me that while in jail, a female guard alleges that he exposed himself to her while he was taking a shower.
But there's cameras everywhere in county jail, which record everything. My next step is my lawyer files a motion to compel the DA's office to bring all evidence, including the videotape, and look at the evidence and question the staff.
And what happens if you're guilty, Travis?
If they find me guilty, they give me 6 months county, which would already be time served. I've already done that. Then I'd have a parole hearing, and they would either give me reinstatement, ISF, or revoke.
What happens if it's revoked?
If it's revoked, I would be going back to TDC, which is the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, which is the prison system in Texas.
And do these new charges affect your ability to possibly get off the sex offender registry one day?
It puts it on hold. We have to wait till everything gets settled here, and then when we get out, we'll file it again. Of course, anything can happen, but if I know I'm not guilty of this crime, I'm not guilty of the 1995 crime. I want people to know that I'm still positive, I'm still going strong, I'm still fighting both my cases, and hopefully sometime in 2014, I'll get everything clear.
Travis, we're running out of time, but thanks for talking to us, and we wish you luck.
All right, well, thank you very much. I had fun chatting with you.
Thanks, Travis. It's amazing that Travis still seems so optimistic. He had an appeal denied and has found himself locked up again. His future is in limbo. I mean, it's just as much in limbo as when we saw him last. Once again, his future is in the hands of the courts.